The sudden crack of a body hitting the airport floor shattered the steady hum of the terminal. A young Marine in uniform lay motionless at the TSA line. Chaos erupted, shouts, cries, phones raised. Amid the confusion, 83-year-old Douglas Nichols felt something awaken in his chest. A rhythm he hadn't felt since Vietnam. He was just an old man in a faded tweed jacket waiting to see his granddaughter until he saw the Marine's shallow breathing and twisted body. Without hesitation, he stepped from the line. "Hey, old man." "Stay where you are," barked TSA supervisor Milera, puffed-up young man, drunk on authority. Douglas ignored him. "He needs help," he said quietly. Miller sneered. "Sure, you're a medic? Everyone's a doctor in an emergency. Step back before I have you removed." Douglas kept walking. The crowd fell silent, watching. He knelt beside the Marine, feeling his weak pulse, tilting his head to open the airway. "Son, can you hear me?" "Corporal Riley," came a faint reply. "My leg." Douglas spotted the medical brace, the Marine's hand pressing his stomach, internal bleeding. Miller fumed, radioing for police. "You're under arrest for interference?" he yelled, waving plastic cuffs. Douglas kept working, unzipping Riley's shirt to ease his breathing. "Stay with me, Corporal." "You're not alone," he murmured, pulling out an old olive-drab medic bag, his Vietnam field kit. Miller pointed at it. "You can't bring that in here." "What's in the bag?" Douglas didn't answer. The clasps opened to reveal neatly arranged tools, gauze, forceps, a stethoscope. As he worked, the sterile airport around him blurred into the muddy chaos of war. He was 21 again, saving lives under fire. Then the vision vanished back to the present, one Marine's life in his hands. Nearby, retired Air Force Colonel Sarah Jenkins watched. She saw the calm precision of a combat medic, the ego of an untrained TSA officer, and knew time was critical. She didn't dial 911, she called the Department of Defense liaison. "This is Colonel Jenkins," she said. "We have a Marine down and a TSA supervisor blocking aid." The medic's name is Douglas Nichols. At Los Angeles Air Force Base, a young captain entered the names into the system. Riley's file came up normal. Nichols's did not, his screen flooded with red flags and classified alerts. The captain froze. "Major," he whispered. "You need to see this." Major Thompson leaned in, his expression turning grave. "Oh my God, get me General Matthews. Now. Code 1 Sentinel event." The major's voice was tight. "It means one of our nation's greatest heroes is in trouble." Back at the airport, Douglas's hands moved with steady certainty, pressing on Riley's abdomen to slow the internal bleed. Miller hovered nearby, clutching his cuffs. "That's enough. The police are coming. Stand down now." Douglas didn't even look up. "This boy's dying, and you're worried about your authority." Then came the sound sirens, growing louder. Through the terminal windows, a convoy of black SUVs and military police vehicles screeched to a halt. Doors flew open. A tall, silver-starred Major General stormed in with his staff, his face carved with fury. The crowd parted instinctively as General Matthews strode through the checkpoint. Airport police froze mid-step. He stopped 2 feet from Douglas, snapped to attention, and saluted. "Mr. Nichols," the general said, voice echoing through the terminal. "It's an honor, sir." Douglas blinked, weary but calm. "General, this Marine needs a surgeon. Now." Miller stood frozen, cuffs in hand, as his entire world crumbled. Matthews didn't even glance at him. 2 medics rushed to Douglas's side, taking over seamlessly. Then the general turned to his aide, speaking loud enough for all to hear. "For those present, this man is former Army Corporal Douglas Nichols. In 1968, during the Tet Offensive, he was wounded but saved 32 men under fire. He defended his aid station alone and was awarded the Medal of Honor." A stunned silence filled the hall. Phones lowered. People bowed their heads. Jenkins smiled softly. She had known. Miller's face went pale. The cuffs slipped from his fingers and hit the floor. General Matthews faced him at last. "You were going to cuff this man while he was saving a Marine's life?" His voice was low, deadly calm. A senior TSA official appeared, trembling. Matthews barked. "I want this agent's name in a full report by 0800, train your people to value life over ego. This is a disgrace. General Matthews turned back to Douglas, his expression softening. Mr. Nichols, we have a surgical team standing by at the base hospital. Corporal Riley will make it thanks to you. Douglas slowly rose, his knees stiff. His eyes found Miller, who stood pale and trembling. There was no anger in Douglas's face, just quiet sadness. He walked up to the young agent. Everyone wears a uniform of some kind. Son, he said gently. It's supposed to stand for service for helping others. Never forget that. He patted Miller's shoulder, a gesture of undeserved kindness, then turned to pick up his old medic bag as the military medics rushed. Riley away, the tattered olive drab bag's handle was soft from decades of use. Douglas held it carefully. Remembering a sunlit day long ago in Danyun, a young soldier he'd saved had pressed the same bag into his hands. You keep it, Doc, the soldier had said, voice breaking. You saved us all. The bag wasn't just canvas, it was gratitude made tangible. In the days that followed, the story spread like wildfire. The TSA issued a formal public apology to both Douglas Nichols and the Marine Corps. Agent Miller was reassigned to a distant post while an internal investigation began. More importantly, a new nationwide protocol was created for emergency response, named informally the Nichols Protocol. A month later, Douglas sat in a quiet coffee shop reading the morning paper. The headline about the new TSA reforms mentioned his name, but he barely noticed. The bell above the door jingled. He looked up to see a young man, nervous, hesitant. It was Miller. He lingered for a long moment before walking over. Mr. Nichols, he said quietly. I'm sorry for what I did. There's no excuse. Douglas studied him for a few seconds, then motioned to the empty chair. Sit down, he said softly. The coffee's good here. Tell me how you're doing. It wasn't forgiveness in words, but in action a lesson far deeper than anger could ever teach. A week later, Douglas's doorbell rang. On his porch stood Corporal Riley, leaning on a cane, his parents behind him. He was smiling, alive, his color restored. Their handshake said everything. No speeches, just gratitude and tears. Douglas never asked for recognition. He was simply a man catching a flight to see his granddaughter. But that ordinary day had turned extraordinary, his quiet past rising to the surface, reminding everyone around him that real heroes rarely seek the spotlight. He sat by his window that evening, the soft light of dusk falling across his hands, the old medic bag resting on the table beside him. His eyes reflected both the weight and peace of a man who had seen too much and done enough. The world had changed. Around him, TSA policies rewritten, public respect renewed, but Douglas Nichols remained what he had always been, a quiet guardian. Ready when called. Sometimes heroism doesn't wear medals or demand recognition. Sometimes it's just an old man stepping out of line, because he still remembers what duty truly means. If this story of quiet bravery and unspoken honor touched your heart, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Unsung Silent Stories, where the heroes among us live on through their actions, not their words.